Good to have you on Models and Agents, episode 93 for June 26, 2026. Another day, another round of AI developments. Let's break it down. OpenAI's internal rollout shows agents handling complex, cross-functional work at scale, giving builders an early view of what production agent systems will soon need to match. OpenAI reports Codex agents are already doing longer-running cross-team tasks across every department. Yes We Hack launched autonomous agents for on-demand penetration testing. Nemotron 2 Tower decouples autoregressive context from diffusion denoising for 2.42 times throughput at near parity quality. Developers should watch how these internal patterns translate to external tooling and open-weight alternatives this week. OpenAI stated that agents powered by Codex are now transforming work across every department, handling tasks that are more complex, longer running, and increasingly cross-functional. The company positions this internal usage as an early signal of how agentic tools will reshape workflows once they reach broader availability. No specific benchmarks or model versions were shared, but the emphasis on cross-functional scope suggests agents are moving beyond single-user chat interfaces into multi-step, multi-stakeholder processes. Builders should note the implied requirements around reliability, state management, and tool interoperability that such deployments demand. Watch for any follow-on details on the underlying agent framework or evaluation methods OpenAI is using internally. This development continues the arc on agent reliability and long-horizon workflows that we have tracked since yesterday, sharpening focus on exactly how state and tool handoffs scale beyond single-user setups. NVIDIA introduced Nemotron 2 Tower, a blockwise autoregressive diffusion model built on Nemotron 3 Nano 30B x A3B that splits context representation into a frozen autoregressive tower and a trainable bidirectional diffusion denoiser. The model retains 98.7% of the baseline autoregressive quality after training on approximately 2.1 trillion tokens while delivering 2.42 times higher wall clock generation throughput. It supports both dense 2.5 billion and mixture of experts 25 billion A2.8B scales, with gains persisting after 80 billion token long context mid-training. Builders working on high-throughput inference should test the released weights for long context generation workloads. This release moves the open-weight inference cost curve forward on the same day we noted continued frontier model pressure. Dynamic DLLM adds dynamic cache updating and adaptive parallel decoding to diffusion LLMs, such as LLADA.8B point instruct and Dream.V0 to 7 point instruct. The approach adaptively allocates cache update budgets per layer and calibrates decoding thresholds, achieving more than 3 times average inference speedup across MMLU, GSM-E1000, and human eval while preserving benchmark performance. It requires no retraining and works as a plug-and-play module. Teams running diffusion-based generation should evaluate it against static caching baselines for latency-sensitive applications. Solar introduces an auxiliary supervised fine-tuning objective that aligns soft token representations across languages using English as a pivot. On 4 multilingual reasoning benchmarks, it improves accuracy by up to 17.7 points over the base model, and 3.8 points over standard supervised fine-tuning, with the largest gains on low-resource languages. The method reduces language cluster separability in final layer embeddings. Developers building cross-lingual reasoning systems should experiment with the alignment loss on their own multilingual fine-tunes. No2Guess provides a contamination-aware multi-zone benchmark with 1,200 items across 5 domains, explicit abstention labels, and dual parsers for measuring answerability versus guessing in LLMs. Evaluations of FLAN T5, Qwen 2.5 Instruct, and Llama 3 Instruct show that stronger instruction-tuned models still struggle with selective abstention and calibration. The dataset and parsers are publicly released. Researchers auditing model reliability should incorporate the benchmark into their evaluation suites. Yes We Hack deployed autonomous AI agents for on-demand penetration testing, allowing users to request security assessments without scheduling human testers. The system targets the growing need for continuous, scalable security validation in agentic environments. No specific performance numbers or integration details were released. Security teams evaluating automated testing platforms should request early access to compare coverage against traditional manual pen tests. Cisco announced the acquisition of Wide Field Security to address security gaps in agentic AI systems. The move targets risks arising from autonomous agents that interact with enterprise environments and external tools. No technical specifications or integration timelines were disclosed. Organizations deploying agents in production should monitor Cisco's forthcoming agent security offerings for policy and monitoring capabilities. Memstrata maintains a bitemporal ledger that retires stale facts using deterministic subject-relation-object supersession rules when contradictions appear. Across 6 benchmarks with a 7B model, it matches standard retrieval augmented generation on static knowledge while reaching 0.95 to 1.00 accuracy on evolving knowledge, where retrieval augmented generation drops to 0.20 to 0.47. It eliminates the 15 to 40% stale fact error rate seen in retrieval augmented generation at roughly 2.1 seconds retrieval latency. Agent developers handling time-sensitive data should integrate the supersession mechanism to avoid serving outdated information. A developer using Open Router APIs is seeking affordable, controllable open-source LLM deployment options that support fine-tuning without CUDA or transformers complexity. The post highlights ownership of the full stack and use case-specific adaptation as primary motivations. Community responses are likely to surface managed platforms or simplified inference servers. Builders facing similar constraints should review the thread for current recommendations on private deployment paths. Context Forge recycles task-relevant information across multi-turn conversations using structured query generation, external memory retrieval, and controlled synthesis. On a 15-turn healthcare benchmark, it improves consistency and reduces token consumption compared with a baseline agent while maintaining response accuracy. Code and evaluation artifacts are available on GitHub. Teams building long-horizon agents should test the recycling approach to lower context window pressure. Okay, let's pop the hood on Delta Rule memory updates. Everyone talks about Delta Rule linear attention as a simple correct before you write trick. In practice, it still ties the correction to the current write address, so stale values sitting at other addresses stay untouched until passive decay eventually removes them. The engineering fix is to add an independent erase step that first suppresses outdated memory along a learn direction, then performs the usual delta correction at the active write location. This adds a second learned vector per update but keeps the core delta math intact, preserving the quality of the corrective write while giving the model an explicit cleanup path. In 2.5 billion and 25 billion scale pre-training runs, the extra path helps most when decay is weak, cutting stale fact retention without increasing overall memory bandwidth. The practical takeaway is to adopt the decoupled erase when your workload contains frequent value changes. If facts are mostly static, the added vector offers little return, and the simpler single-address delta rule remains preferable. Test Nemotron 2 Tower waits on long context generation tasks to measure the 2.42 times throughput gain against your current autoregressive baseline. Integrate MEM-strata-style supersession rules into any retrieval augmented generation pipeline handling time-sensitive facts to eliminate stale value errors. Run Context Forge on a 10 to 15 turn internal workflow to quantify token savings versus full context replay. Compare dynamic die systemic D LLM against static caching on your diffusion LLM workloads for latency-sensitive applications. Review the node-to-guest dataset and parsers to add answerability and abstention metrics to your model evaluation harness. Further details are expected on OpenAI's internal agent tooling and evaluation methods. Additional open-weight diffusion LLM releases are following the Nemotron 2-tower pattern. Security tooling updates are coming from Cisco following the wide field acquisition. Expanded multilingual reasoning benchmarks are incorporating soft token alignment techniques. Tomorrow, keep an eye on any follow-up from OpenAI on the agent framework details that surfaced in today's internal rollout. That's models and agents for today. If you found this useful, share it with someone who's trying to keep up with all these changes. And subscribe so you don't miss tomorrow's update. The AI world moves fast. We'll help you keep up. See you tomorrow. And if you'd rather watch than listen, find us on YouTube at Nara Network. Links in the show notes. And before you go, this show is part of the Nara Network, a family of daily podcasts on tech, science, and markets. Each one a short, sharp briefing you can finish on the commute. If today earned its place in your feed, here's your next listen. Unintended consequences, true stories of good intentions that backfired. Find every show free at naranetwork.com. This episode used AI voice synthesis of my voice. Editorial selection and analysis are my own.